We are looking at an interest. We're looking at an interesting time. Um, the Florida senator Marco Rubio has mentioned that he believes that he's prepared to be president of the United States. So I guess what he's doing is he's sort of testing the water to see if there is if he'll have enough support to go ahead and make a presidential run. And I know there's a lot of back and forth, especially about Marco Rubio's policy on immigration. Well, if you listen to the Willie Lawson show, what you've heard from me before is simply this. I thought that immigration was low-hanging fruit, an easy thing to do, and really important that Republicans and conservatives get involved in, because with as much time as there is in the Obama presidency, if Republicans and conservatives didn't have a chance to really get in the things into immigration reform that need to be there, that digging in was really a tactical mistake, a really bad tactical error. And I think that Marco Rubio knew that too. The mistake he made was getting involved in the Gang of Eight. I've said before on the show that what should have happened was that Marco Rubio should have gotten involved with a gang of eight conservative Republicans and attacked immigration reform from a conservative standpoint, um, an active conservative standpoint, as opposed to, no, we're just going to pull back, we're just going to dig in. And that's the concept that we're going to talk about on the Spreaker show today, that activism doesn't mean just holding your ground. We have spent nearly 6 years just saying, what, holding one's ground, and instead of taking the lead. And part of taking the lead is part of leadership is taking the lead, taking the lead on tough subjects. And immigration is a tough subject that affects a lot of people in a really negative way. Not just the people who are the illegals, but those people and communities that are fighting for jobs and the like. So, um, because frankly, there is a competition for jobs that don't earn a lot, and immigration is a concern there, or illegal immigration is a concern there. So what I'm saying is that Republicans and conservatives missed the boat in 2013 of leading that conversation. Um, that's the problem, and I think that a lot of you who listen to the show, who read the post, and read FloridaDash.com and the like, have missed my point on this. My point on this is that Republicans and conservatives have missed the boat because they refuse to lead. Digging in is not necessarily leading. Simply saying that the laws in place are enough is not looking at the problem. Because I've got neighbors that are Canadian that struggle through the process. The process is jacked up. The process is awful. It's expensive and it's awful, and truly not working. When you've got upwards of 20 million people living in this country who aren't supposed to be here, when you've got people, you've got um, 18 states giving in-state tuition to illegal aliens. When you've got in the state of Florida allowing an illegal alien to practice law, it's obviously not working the way it is, and there needs to be reform. Now, I think that conservatives and Republicans get freaked out, conservatives especially, when I say reform, which they think that means that reform is going to institute a whole bunch of liberal and progressive and socialist things into the agenda. That doesn't necessarily mean that at all. It just doesn't. And if you take the lead in these conversations instead of always reacting to what somebody else says, you'll understand that doesn't always mean that. It means take the lead in these situations. Um, part of that leading, and part of that reform is to strengthen, if you can, the existing laws, and make sure that they are enforced. And if they're not enforced, there are penalties in that. That also includes reform. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's take the lead. Let's stop reacting to everything and start, being proactive instead of reacting to everything. I think it's interesting that Marco Rubio is looking for that. He's sort of testing the waters here. I think that this is going to be interesting. I think, frankly, let's just be honest. I think that Marco Rubio is of those people that we all we all like. We all like the Ted Cruzes and the Scott Walkers of the world. I think that he has. I personally think that he has a decent chance if he decided. And I'm also of the mind that who would we rather have, Marco Rubio or Hillary Clinton? Who would you rather have, Marco Rubio or Barack Obama? Okay, so you're not going. Let's grow up a little bit. So you're not going to get the perfect candidate because the perfect candidate is you, and you're not going to run, and you're not going to get elected. That's all there is to it. And as much as we enjoy people like Alan Keyes and the like, he is not going to get elected president of the United States. He's not. Let's just be real. So somebody who has an opportunity or a shot is maybe someone like a Marco Rubio. Maybe not Marco Rubio, but a Marco Rubio or someone like that. That's our reality. That's the reality of our situation. So I think that we need to really start looking at what's real. And I think that once you start looking at what's real and what you can really attain, I think that we will go a long, long way. My friend Ali Akbar posted on Facebook, America's next revival will look nothing like the ones previous. What's old is dead and gone. Mourn the losses and be ready for the new. It will allow you to live in the now, which sometimes my conservative friends forget to do. For my fellow Christians, it means the war starts in our churches, not yelling at the sinner. That's the deal. And as far as Christianity goes, he's right. The idea is that throwing rocks at sinners is not how you get people to come to Christ. That's not how you get people to come to Christ. And he doesn't mean that you accept their madness. That's not what he means. What he means is that you have to accept them as they are. I mean, because Christ did. Christ didn't. I mean, when a woman was caught in adultery, he didn't walk up to her and hit her with a rock. As a matter of fact, he challenged those without sin. He challenged them, and we found that they were lacking. Correct? Correct. So that's really the deal. That's really the deal. So I think conservatives have to understand that some things are dead and gone. Some people mention that we don't want socialism, but you have socialism, and you have Republicans, and you have conservative Republicans, especially in elderly communities, like not far from here, like Sun City Center, who scream and yell and hop up and down every time somebody talks about changing or taking away their Social Security. Well, what's more socialist than Social Security? What's more socialist than that we have currently in our system? Nothing. And even Republicans and conservative Republicans, when bashing Obamacare, mention the deleterious effect that Obamacare is having on Medicare and Medicaid. Well, isn't that socialized medicine? Yeah, of course it is. So, if you're looking for purity, if you're looking for the pure quote American spirit, it's been gone for a while. It's been gone for. Let me help y'all. It's been gone for a while. What we have now is a hybrid. That's right. Bam, a hybrid. Where you have sort of a representative republic with some socialism tempered in there, under the guise of compassion. That's what we have here, and this is the situation that we have to deal with. And what we really have to do is again, leading is not digging in. Leading is coming up with ideas. Ideas. That's what makes things better. What makes things better is ideas. And if we can come up with some ideas that will work, that's the thing that's what victory will be based in. And let me help my conservative friends who don't seem to get this point. And I've said this 1,000 times. I'm going to say it 1,045,000 times. 1,000 times plus 45,000 times. If we don't win elections, especially national elections, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can be right, and we can have these arguments. We can have these intellectual, academic discussions, knockdown, drag out debates, um, all you want. But if you don't win elections, it doesn't matter because those who win elections get to set policy. There you go. So what you do is you try to elect people as close to your ideological viewpoint as you possibly can, and then you have something really important to do. You have to stay on them. You have to stay on them all the time. You can't just elect, this idea that you can elect somebody and then they'll take care of it. It's like, you know what, that's why schools fail. Schools fail because we send our kids to school like we send our dry cleaning to school. I mean, we send our dry cleaning to the dry cleaners, hoping that it will come back all pressed and clean and stuff. And we think that that's how politicians are supposed to work. No, they're not. They need that constant pressure and correction from the electorate. That's what they need. You know what? And so you send Joe Blow to the mayor's office, and then you stay on his butt, or you stay on Josephine Blow's butt until they are governing. They understand and they are governing in a way that the electorate is happy with. That's how you get things done. That's the secret. If you're wondering what the secret was, that's the secret, right there. That's the secret. It isn't just the election that's the important part. It's the post-election activity from the electorate that will be the game changers and the difference maker. So, but in order to do that, you have to elect somebody who you believe is at least going to listen to you. That first of all is electable and will listen to you. So, as much as we like the Ted Cruzes and the Sarah Palins and the Scott Walkers of the world, and I do, and I respect them all. When it comes down to my gut, I don't think they can be elected president. I just don't. I don't. I think that we've gone too far. I do. I think that we've got, and that's the sadness of it. I think that we've gone too far. They can't get elected in 2016, and unless you start moving back to the center, they may not ever be elected. That's the deal. That's the sad part. The sad message here is that I think that we might have gone too far. We may be indeed too far gone to the left to have someone like a Scott Walker or a Ted Cruz electable in the United States. If you look at the condition of America today, and we have to live in today. We have to look at how situations are right now. And if we refuse to do that, if we continue to refuse to do that, we will continue to lose on the national level. We have to look at things like demographics. We have to look at things like immigration. We have to look at things like the welfare state we're in, and how do we slow down the slip into complete Canadian-style socialism that we're on now. It'd be nice to put in a stake and say we're going to stop it tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, but that's not reality. That's not reality. What reality says is that we're going to have to find a way to turn this boat around, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take a long time, and you have to slow the boat down first. That's important. Let me help some of y'all. There's not one candidate. There's just not one candidate in the whole country that's going to be able to, put down that stop stick and stop our socialist, our slide into socialism. There's not one candidate. There's not one person who can get that done. The only person who can get that done is Jesus. So you can put all your faith into Ted Cruz or Sarah Palin or Herman Cain or Ben Carson or whoever you want. But none of them can put down the stop sticks and stop on a dime our slide into socialism. It can't. It's taken 100 years to get to here, and frankly, it may take another 100 years to slow down and stop and maybe return to an attitude of Americanism that we had maybe 20 years ago. It's going to take a long time. This is not something that can be fixed. That's a microwave fix. This is not something that you cover in one election cycle. That's for sure, or 2 or 3 or 4 election cycles. This has got to be a generational thing. Just like a lot of people say about people like Donald Sterling, is that we have to wait for those people to leave the earth before we're not dealing with that sort of racism. I think in order to not deal with this sort of liberalism and this sort of socialism and this sort of, we have to wait for a lot of those people to leave the earth and you know what, and educate our children into back into an America that's self-reliant and capable. And the idea is that we can do it on our own. That we do it through that involvement through our schools and our faith organizations is that, you know what, and personally is how we take care of one another. That it's not the government's idea. I mean we really have to engage our kids and instill in them that it's not government's responsibility to take care of people from cradle to grave. There are a lot of people in this country who believe that is government's responsibility to take care of people from cradle to grave. And we have to wait for those people to leave this earth, frankly, while at the same time educating our kids to that's not the role of government, to take care of people from cradle to grave. It isn't. That the role of government when it comes to people is that they are the last resort safety net. That they are the last resort. And all other avenues have been exhausted. That's what we have to do. So this little video has spanned a lot of areas, but I want to make sure that people understand where the Willie Lawson show is in all of this. And I'm looking forward to someone like Marco Rubio getting into this race. That way we can start having conversations about what's realistic. And that's what we have to be. We have to be in the now, in the what's realistic. Not what's perfect, and not just what's pure, but what's realistic. What can we really do now? How far can we really go? How much can we really be effective? That's what's important. All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks so much for coming to our video on the Willie Lawson Show. We hope to be back on the air the last week of this month. Thank you again. Bye-bye now.